For convenience sake, what I have done is I've opened up the original file set here on the Mac OS X side of the computer, and then I also put up a another version of those same files on the PC side after I did the updates to the naming conventions for layouts, scripts, value lists, and things. So just so that I can kind of go back and forth and demonstrate quickly how this was done. So here we're looking at one of the original files, the people file, and I've got all the other windows currently hidden. What we're going to need to do is go through each one of these one at a time, and we're going to have to go through and do these updates. So the kind of updates that we would do is if, for example, if I go into layout mode, and if we look at all the different layouts that were created for the people file here, you can see that there are quite a few of them. And many of these names are more or less generic. Data entry, for example, is quite generic, and a lot of these names might actually be duplicated in the other files. We want to make sure that we don't have any duplicate names, and so we're going to have to go through and manually change these names one at a time. So the easiest way to do that here is just go in one layout at a time and add a prefix to each layout name. Now, what I recommend doing is use a three-letter convention, like the first three letters of the name of the file, followed by an underscore, and then that way you will have no duplicates anywhere. So if I just go PEO underscore like that, make these lowercase, and then click OK, that takes care of the first one, and then you just go through each layout in turn and you just do the same thing for each one. So that's what you would do with all of your layout names. And again, you're going to need to do the same thing with your value lists. So go to your value lists and select each value list in turn and do the same thing here. So PEO underscore, and just do that for all the value lists in all of the tables that you have, so that all of those are done. And then the final step is to do the same thing with the relationship names. You're going to want to come into your relationship names, and you're going to want to, all of your table occurrence names for each of your files in the original file set need to be renamed, again, so that you can identify not only which file they are referencing, but also the general intent of that table occurrence. So for example, here we have found sets, which is in italics, meaning that this is actually a remote file set, a separate FileMaker file. Of course, it won't be later on. But what I would do is I would come in here and I would double click that table occurrence name and then add a suffix rather than a prefix. Suffix in this case I think would be easier to use. And this is going from the people table to the found sets table. So the convention I'm using is PEO to FOU. And then that way we'll know that each one of these had been set up correctly. Now I would do this for every one of your table occurrences here. Obviously you'll keep the master table name unchanged, and you don't have to worry about making any of these connections over on the other side yet. What we're doing is we're getting ready to export a DDR, and because of that all we're doing is changing names at this point. So I would do all of those for each one of the files that you have. And you're also going to want to go into your scripts, and you're going to need to rename every one of your scripts. You can have a lot of these, and this is going to be a time-consuming process, but it's well worth doing because you're likely to have certain script names that will be identical across all of your multi-files, and so you need to make sure that these are all unique. So again, you go into each one of your scripts and preface each one with the three-letter prefix that you had chosen. You're going to do that for every one of the scripts in every one of the files before you do your DDR. So once you've done this set of steps, Then you can bring all of those files over to the PC side, or you could have done this on the PC side. But you want to have them on the PC side before you do your database design report. And what you'll end up with now is a bunch of layouts and all these layouts will still be in the individual files, but they'll all have these prefixes for every one of the files in your full set. You'll also have all of your value lists, scripts, and also your relationship names changed. So here you can see that I did that for every one of our table occurrence relationship names. And again, by doing this for all the files, we're now ready to move on to the next step.